All right, this is a magazine that Grottu Orloff published back in the 1990s. This is the December 1990 issue. It's issue number 13, The Sophisticate. I was going to read to you an article from this publication, The Grinches That Stole Saturday Morning. And I wrote this, 30 years ago. So I haven't read this in 30 years. I thought I'd read it to you. I need my reading glasses now because I printed with ridiculously small print on a typewriter. This is before computers, 1990, before the internet. So let's see. And forgive me, it may be very politically incorrect because that was 30 years ago. I was rather politically incorrect. Not because I still am, actually. Okay, I lost my place. Oh, and it's got the Son of Satan article too. Good. I'm going to read 2 articles to you actually today. Maybe I'll do it in 2 separate videos. Oh, come on, where is that article? Lost my goddamn place. This is a really thick issue. It's a key issue. You need to double bag it and make sure you send it off to CGC to get slabbed so you can never read it again. They wear sandals and think that the Three Stooges are too violent. Liberals have destroyed American culture and driven it almost completely underground. In this article, I will show you how The Grinches Stole Saturday Morning by Grottu Orloff. The only thing worse than an ultra-conservative is a raving pinko liberal. Extreme liberals and conservatives seem to almost always lack senses of humor, which of course is the most essential part of the human personality, sense of humor. Both of these despicable groups are continually striving to deprive you of your God-given right to have fun. Why, you ask? Simple. They are incapable of having fun and are jealous of you. When Scooby-Doo premiered on a fall Saturday morning in 1969, it was the end of an era. The 1960s were drawing to a close. Virtually everything cool about the 60s and American culture in general were dealt a near-death blow by the so-called Summer of Love in 1967. As you know, 1966 had been a banner year for rock and roll, primarily of the grungy garage variety, and hot rod culture. Almost in a direct backlash to the presence of too much coolness, the evil barefoot hippies revolted against the trash men and foisted their sissy peace, love, and flowers bullshit on America. They scoffed at surf music and rockabilly. They were more inclined to listen to shit bands like the Grateful Dead and Joan Baez than Surfin' Bird. You see, hippies, they're called liberals today, hate rock and roll and everything you and I stand for. They are threatened by and are fearful of virtually all contained within the pages of this magazine. They saw Johnny Quest and set out to destroy it. Children were left with Scooby-Doo. Cartoons were under fire by liberals in the mid-60s because they said the kiddie shows were too violent and did not teach morals. Children should not be allowed to relax after a hard day at school. They must be learning things at every waking moment. Pegged as primary targets because of their excessive violence were Marvel superheroes, Speed Racer, and Johnny Quest. After years of listening to the belly-aching of do-gooder leagues of parents and teachers, the networks caved in and agreed to provide more wholesome and educational fare. One of the network's more bizarre and mind-warping attempts at pacifying liberals was a series of animated musical shorts called Scholastic Rock, placed between shows as filler at 1-hour intervals. They attempted to teach kids about grammar, mathematics, and civics through hip, catchy tunes. Composing songs about nouns or multiplication tables, caused the songwriters to come up with some of the most surreal and idiotic sets of lyrics since Bob Dylan. I'm sure some of these tunes will be bouncing around in your skull for the rest of the day, now that I have jogged your memory. Like Red Chinese brainwashing, these snappy tunes worked only too well. Once hearing them, they will bounce around in your head for years, and there's nothing worse than not being able to forget lyrics like lolly, 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 get your adverbs here. Father, son, and lolly, get your adverbs here. Rules were quickly put in, actually, I take it back, those were wonderful songs. And really, and you know, today we've got, what, Cardi B? No, those songs were tremendous, you know, and are great. But I knew that then, but I've got to be outrageous for the pages of this magazine, right? Rules were quickly put in place stating that no guns could be shown firing on children's programming. All cartoons made prior to 1970, including Bugs Bunny, were edited by the networks to eliminate gunplay or were not shown at all. Even a scene in a Johnny Quest episode in which a shark was shot by a harpoon was cut. This did not apply to independent local channels, however, and these stations continue to air Elmer Fudd, Yosemite Sam, and friends blasting each other's faces with shotguns. Ha, you say, what about the G.I. Joe, Rambo, and RoboCop cartoons that air every day? They have guns blazing, sure, but they get around the rule by having the guns fire laser bolts rather than bullets. This apparently pacifies the pro-gun control liberals who by the late 1970s had all toy guns removed from the shelves. Yes, in the early 1970s, the networks hired psychologists who were to approve each cartoon script to make sure it would not damage impressionable minds. They made sure each show had an uplifting moral, even if they had to twist the story completely around to provide it with one. And so in their capable hands, the Justice League of America became the Super Friends, a name which emphasizes cooperation and positive values much more. But perhaps nothing more typifies the meddling of these scum than the 1978 animated version of the Great Fantastic Four comic book. One of the quartet, the Human Torch, has the ability to set his body ablaze and fly. The powers that be decided that Small Fry would immolate themselves in an attempt to emulate their idol. So the network brass decided to get rid of the character and replace him with a friendly R2-D2 styled robot. Even though an earlier 1967 pre-liberal censoring cartoon version of the Fantastic Four had featured the Torch, apparently without a huge death toll. It is the opinion of the Sophisticate that any child stupid enough to kill themselves in this manner or by jumping off a building pretending to be Superman is better off dead. They obviously will be too unintelligent to hold down a job when they are grown and will be supported by our tax dollars. I should be a political speechwriter. By the mid-1980s, the situation had degenerated to the point where unfortunate children were forced to endure emasculated New Age pap like Rainbow Bright and the Smurfs and My Little Pony. The criminal liberals have gone a step further this year by creating moronic cartoons designed to indoctrinate children with their trendy New Age environmentalist bullshit. Captain Planet and the Planeteers and Widget seem sure to destroy the heterosexuality of America's youth. If I was a kid, these brain-dead pseudo-cartoons would make me want to rebel and do what I could to pollute, just as Davian, Goliath, and Jot turned a previous generation of kids to Satanism. If the liberals completely took over, all children's programming would resemble that abhorrent mid-1970s PBS show Zoom, in which a bunch of barefoot asshole kids pranced around in identical striped uniforms and sang. Although liberals want to censor violence, the conservatives, on the other hand, long to censor anything they consider occult, lest a child slaughter his entire family in some arcane ritual learned from the tube. In the viewpoint of an ultra-conservative evangelical, The Wizard of Oz is satanic because it contains witches. The conservative scum are now having conniption fits over Fox's The Simpsons. Conservative Christian groups hate Bart Simpson's guts because he is disrespectful and hates school. The real underlying problem they have with this show, however, is they don't find it funny and are confused by other people calling it the funniest thing on TV. Remember when that was true? There actually was a time that people actually remembered that that show existed. It was actually really funny 30 years ago. You see, fully 40 to 50% of the population is born with a lack of a sense of humor. Quite literally, it is a mental handicap, a form of retardation. Oh yes, these people laugh just like you and I, but they are faking it. They don't want anyone to realize that they don't get the joke. In movie theaters, they laugh when other people laugh, sometimes a bit too loudly. When watching TV, handy canned laugh tracks let them know when they're supposed to laugh because something funny has happened. But inside, these people are resentful and bitter, seething with rage at people who understand humor. The Simpsons is an incredibly funny show, on par with the finest of Jay Ward, but not to this 40 to 50%. To them, it is merely an ugly kids show with grotesque characters. What's more, it is undermining and destroying the American family unit. Is it a coincidence that The Simpsons doesn't have a laugh track? There is a chance that the conservative and liberal factions may cancel each other out as their respective powers grow. The right-wing types are attacking the New Age overtones in today's kiddie fair, labeling them satanic. But where were these clowns 18 years ago when the Archie spinoff Sabrina the Teenage Witch was airing every Saturday morning? It does not take a genius to realize that we will never see its like again. Well, that's not true. It was later a live-action show, and then it was a cartoon again, and now it's a truly satanic Netflix show. I end this article on a pessimistic note. Perennial asshole Steven Spielberg has helped create a new animated series featuring the Warner Brothers cartoon characters as children. Called Tiny Toons, this sacrilegious show eschews the violence of the classic Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies in favor of a friendly, cooperative atmosphere. The children of Bugs Bunny, Sylvester, Elmer Fudd, and the rest have learned to put aside their differences and become friends. Or are they supposed to be the same characters as children who later became enemies? I'm not quite sure. Unfortunately, the money made from the merchandising of the Tiny Toon characters will enable Spielberg to make more of the disgusting pablum he's been foisting on us for the last 10 years. Spielberg has openly declared that he is an environmentalist liberal. Now, it looks like I have something that I cut and pasted from a TV guide about best and worst on children's TV, and I've got like a Saturday morning. And then I did this cartoon. That's my artwork. So this hippie is hitting Johnny Quest over the head with a sign. I tried to focus on this the other day. But, yeah, and this is actually, this is from the actual TV guide, because I had the old TV guide in my possession. It says, what is that little fantastic? It says, debut. 3 of the original Fantastic Four comic book characters, the stretchable Mr. Fantastic, his wife Sue, and the Thing, are joined by a new member, Herbie the Computer. I think they've written Herbie the Computer into canon now, and I think John Byrne might have done it during his run. Who knows? Shocking. I apologize if any of that offended you. That was me 30 years ago. Oh, look at this. Scum and vermin rule the media. I'll read this to you real quick. Scum and vermin rule the media. The Cramps' new video for their single, The Creature from the Black Leather Lagoon, is apparently completely unairable by MTV standards. Reliable sources say that it's the best thing they have ever done. It begins with Ivy giving birth to Lux and goes on from there. They promised in June that the video would be a 3-minute horror movie, and they delivered it in spades. The news that the Arts and Entertainment Channel was to begin airing the classic Avengers series was greeted with great enthusiasm until they started airing them edited with about 5 minutes cut from each episode to allow a 1990 amount of commercials in a 1960s program. But this really should have come as no surprise. Virtually every show in syndication older than 10 years is edited for time. From The Addams Family to Batman, Star Trek to All in the Family, which has had its entire opening credits sheared off, our shared cultural history is being trampled by... Oh, wow. Listen to this. Our shared cultural history is being trampled by Donald Trump / Ted Turner-like assholes who own the rights to these shows. Did Donald Trump own any TV shows? I don't know. Apparently, at this point in 1990, I had been brainwashed into thinking Donald Trump was not a good person. Now I love Donald Trump. I mean, I dearly love Donald Trump. I can't believe I wrote this back 30 years ago. And I don't know how Donald Trump was having... I know Ted Turner was editing the shit out of stuff on TBS. And then, you know, when Hinckley tried to kill Reagan, because he had a crush on Jodie Foster, and he wanted to, you know, do what Travis Bickle did in the movie and go after a politician to impress Jodie Foster. I remember Ted Turner said, "I will never air that movie Taxi Driver on my station." He's a true asshole that wants to kill off a big chunk of the population of the earth to save the environment. But Donald Trump, you know, back then all he was doing was like building buildings and marrying lots of different wives. I don't know why I had this hatred. I don't know. I can't get into my head 30 years ago, but mostly the way I thought back then is still the way I think. But you know, today shows don't have opening credits. You know, they cut the credits off the old shows so they can have more time for commercials, because they're, you know, a show from 1966 like Star Trek only had maybe 4 or 5 6 minutes commercials, and now, you know, they're allowed to put 10, 12 minutes so they can cut all this stuff out of it. But you know, it's like shows don't have great opening themes like Mission Impossible and Hawaii Five-0 and Batman. Now, or remember the show UFO? The opening credits to that just blow your mind. It's Space 1999. Now, you know, like we watch Supernatural. We're trying to watch Supernatural, the final season, and it's just like the opening credits are like Supernatural, and that's the opening credits. There's no theme song. You know, I was excited when the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show was coming, because I thought it's going to be like the comic book. It's going to be like a New Man from U.N.C.L.E. But no, it was a boring show, and they didn't even have opening credits. If they had had a cool theme. But, you know, most of these... I love the Marvel Studios, the Marvel Universe, but they don't have cool themes for each superhero. They should have a cool theme whenever they appear. Like, what is the Thor theme? I can't think of one. There was actually kind of a good Captain America theme at the end of the first Captain America movie, and the Avengers have a theme that's memorable, but they just don't have them. And it's like the great composers, you know, John Williams and all these great composers, they're gone, and the people today just aren't. Let me get back to this. Where am I? Nothing is more frustrating than when the owners go back and strike new prints from the original negatives so that the show will look as pristine as when it was first aired on the network. And then after going through all that trouble, they cut chunks out of the show hoping that no one will care or remember. This happened in the summer of '89 when the Batman movie was released. The old TV series went back into syndication looking beautiful, but alas, the shitheads decided to trim the show of all scenes not crucial to the plot so more Taco Bell ads could be aired. This meant that whenever there was a musical guest star like Leslie Gore, their singing scenes were removed. Also, Jay Sebring's role in a Catwoman episode was almost completely excised. He can only be seen in the background of one scene. Sebring was, of course, slaughtered by the Manson family 1 year after filming the Batman episode. The culprits behind the cutting of the Addams Family deserved nothing less than a Salman Rushdie-like death penalty. The discovery, and then I go on. This is like apparently a column talking about entertainment news. It says the Discovery Channel was to begin airing the wonderful British TV series The Incredibly Strange Film Show in October. All the schedules were printed accordingly. At the last minute, they pulled it, replacing it with a show on polka music. Apparently, the Pinkos who control this sissy channel signed a contract to air the show before they actually viewed it. When they saw it, they were obviously horrified by its overwhelming coolness. The Discovery Channel probably expected to get a show making fun of these horrible bad films a la Joe Bob Briggs or those fucked up Medved brothers. When they realized that was a respectful celebration of these sex and violence type movies, these new age, word I'm not going to say out loud, who run this channel thought it was bad for their dolphin hugging image and nixed the show. There's certain words that you could, I guess I could write 30 years ago that I'm not going to say now. Yeah. Only here in Dallas can people with no sense of humor publish a humor magazine. I'm making fun of someone that does another magazine, and it just goes on like that. Not that interesting. Okay, I'm going to do a separate video about the son of Satan. I'll be back.